گئے اور بولے، امی جان آپ پر سلام ہو۔ میں نے جواب دیا، میرے بیٹے، میری آنکھ کے تارے، میرے دل کے ٹکڑے، تم پر بھی سلام ہو۔ پھر وہ کہنے لگے، امی جان مجھے گھر میں نانا جان کی سی خوشبو آ رہی ہے۔ میں نے کہا، تمہارے نانا جان چادر کے اندر چادر اوڑھے ہوئے ہیں۔ اس پر حسن علیہ السلام چادر کی طرف بڑھے اور کہنے لگے، سلام ہو آپ پر نانا جان۔ اے خدا کے رسول، کیا مجھے اجازت ہے کہ میں آپ کے پاس چادر میں آ جاؤں؟ آپ نے جواب دیا، میرے بیٹے، میرے حوض کے مالک، تم پر بھی سلام ہو، تمہیں اجازت ہے۔ بس حسن علیہ السلام آپ کے پاس چادر میں پہنچ گئے۔ ایک ساتھ نہیں گزری تھی کہ میرے بیٹے حسین علیہ السلام آ گئے اور کہنے لگے، امی جان آپ پر سلام ہو۔ میں نے جواب دیا، میرے بیٹے، میری آنکھ کے تارے، میرے لختے جگر، تم پر بھی سلام ہو۔ پھر وہ کہنے لگے، امی جان مجھے گھر میں نانا جان کی سی خوشبو آ رہی ہے۔ میں نے کہا، تمہارے نانا جان اور بھائی جان دونوں چادر کے اندر ہیں۔ اس پر حسین علیہ السلام چادر کے قریب گئے اور بولے، نانا جان، اے خدا کے مختار نبی، آپ پر سلام ہو۔ کیا آپ کی اجازت ہے کہ میں بھی آپ دونوں کے پاس چادر میں آ جاؤں؟ آپ نے فرمایا، تم پر بھی سلام ہو میرے لال، میری امت کے بخشوانے والے، تمہیں اجازت ہے۔ بس حسین علیہ السلام بھی ان دونوں کے پاس چادر میں پہنچ گئے۔ اس کے بعد علی ابن طالب علیہ السلام آ گئے اور بولے، رسول کی بیٹی، تم پر سلام ہو۔ میں نے جواب دیا، ابو الحسن، اے مومنوں کے امیر، آپ پر بھی سلام ہو۔ پھر وہ کہنے لگے، فاطمہ، مجھے گھر میں اپنے بھائی اور اپنے ام کی سی خوشبو آ رہی ہے۔ وہ آپ کے دونوں بیٹوں سمیت چادر کے اندر ہیں۔ پھر علی علیہ السلام چادر کے قریب گئے اور بولے، اے خدا کے رسول، آپ پر سلام ہو۔ کیا مجھے اجازت ہے کہ میں بھی آپ کے پاس چادر میں آ جاؤں؟ بابا جان نے ان سے فرمایا، تم پر بھی سلام ہو میرے بھائی، میرے جانشین، میرے علم بردار، تمہیں اجازت ہے۔ بس علی علیہ السلام بھی چادر میں پہنچ گئے۔ پھر میں چادر کے قریب گئی اور میں نے کہا، سلام ہو آپ پر بابا جان۔ اے خدا کے رسول، کیا میں بھی آپ کے پاس چادر میں آ جاؤں؟ بابا جان نے فرمایا، تم پر بھی سلام ہو میری بیٹی، میرے پارہ جگر، تمہیں اجازت ہے۔ چنانچہ میں بھی چادر میں چلی گئی۔ اب جو چادر میں اکٹھے ہو گئے تو بابا جان نے چادر کے دونوں کنارے پکڑے اور دائیں ہاتھ سے آسمان کی طرف اشارہ کرتے ہوئے فرمایا، اے خدا، یہ میرے اہل بیت ہیں، یہ میرے خاص لوگ اور حامی ہیں، ان کا لحم میرا لحم ہے اور ان کا خون میرا خون ہے۔ جو انہیں ستاتا ہے وہ مجھے آزار دیتا ہے، جو انہیں رنجیدہ کرتا ہے وہ مجھے رنج پہنچاتا ہے۔ جو ان سے لڑے گا میں بھی اس سے لڑوں گا، جو ان سے صلح رکھے گا میں بھی اس سے صلح رکھوں گا، جو ان سے دشمنی کرے گا میں بھی اس کو دشمن سمجھوں گا، اور جو ان سے دوستی رکھے گا میں بھی ان کو دوست جانوں گا، کیونکہ یہ مجھ سے ہیں اور میں ان سے ہوں۔ اے خدا، تو اپنی صلوات، برکات، رحمت، بخشش اور خوشنودی میرے اور ان کے لیے قرار دے، اور ان سے نجاست کو دور رکھ اور انہیں نہایت پاک و پاکیزہ رکھ۔ اللہم محمد و آل محمد۔ پھر خدائے بزرگ و برتر نے فرمایا، اے فرشتو، اے آسمان کے رہنے والوں، میں نے یہ مضبوط آسمان، پھیلی ہوئی زمین، روشن چاند، چمکیلا سورج، گھومتے سیارے، دھلکتا سمندر، تیرتی کشتی، یہ ساری چیزیں صرف انہی 5 افراد کی خاطر اور انہی کی محبت میں پیدا کی ہیں جو چادر کے اندر ہیں۔ اس پر امین وحی جبریل علیہ السلام نے پوچھا، اے پروردگار، یہ چادر کے اندر کون لوگ ہیں؟ خداوند عالم نے فرمایا، یہ نبی کے اہل بیت اور رسالت کا خزینہ ہے۔ یہ فاطمہ، ان کے بابا، ان کے شوہر اور ان کے دو بیٹے ہیں۔ اللہ صلی
صلی
اللہ
اللہ محمد وآلہ۔
علیہ وسلم۔ جبریل علیہ السلام نے عرض کیا، اے پروردگار، مجھے بھی اجازت دے کہ میں زمین پر اتروں اور ان میں شامل ہو کر چھٹا فرد بن جاؤں۔ خدا نے فرمایا، تمہیں اجازت ہے۔ بس جبریل امین زمین پر اترے اور کہنے لگے، اے خدا کے رسول، آپ پر سلام ہو۔ خدائے بزرگ و بڑھ کر آپ کو سلام کہتا ہے، آپ کو درود اور احترام سے سرفراز فرماتا ہے، اور آپ سے کہتا ہے کہ میری عزت اور بزرگی کی قسم، میں نے یہ مضبوط آسمان، پھیلی ہوئی زمین، روشن چاند، چمکیلا سورج، گھومتے سیارے، تھلکتا سمندر، تیرتی کشتی، یہ ساری چیزیں صرف تم لوگوں کی خاطر اور تمہاری ہی محبت میں پیدا کی ہیں، اور خدا نے مجھے اجازت دے دی ہے کہ میں بھی چادر کے اندر آپ کے پاس آ جاؤں۔ اے خدا کے رسول، کیا آپ مجھے اجازت دیتے ہیں؟ رسول خدا صلی اللہ علیہ وآلہ وسلم نے فرمایا، اے خدا کی وحی لانے والے، تم پر سلام ہو، تمہیں بھی اجازت ہے۔ یہ جبریل بھی ہم لوگوں کے ساتھ چادر میں آ گئے۔ اس کے بعد جبریل علیہ السلام نے میرے بابا جان سے کہا، خدا آپ لوگوں کو وحی بھیجتا ہے اور کہتا ہے، انما یرید اللہ لیذھب عنکم الرجس اہل البیت ویطہرکم تطہیرا۔ اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد۔ کہ واقعی خدا نے یہ ارادہ کر لیا ہے کہ آپ اہل بیت سے نجاست دور رکھے اور آپ لوگوں کو پاک و پاکیزہ رکھے۔ تب علی علیہ السلام نے بابا جان سے کہا، اے خدا کے رسول، مجھے بتائیے کہ اس چادر کے اندر آ جانا خدا کے نزدیک کیا فضیلت رکھتا ہے؟ اس پر رسول خدا نے فرمایا، اس ذات کی قسم جس نے مجھے نبی بنایا اور لوگوں کی نجات کی خاطر مجھے رسالت کے لیے منتخب کیا، اہل زمین کی جس محفل میں ہمارے شیعان علی اور دوستدار اکٹھے ہوں گے اور ہماری یہ حدیث بیان کریں گے، ان پر خدا کی رحمت نازل ہوگی، فرشتے ان کو حلقے میں لے لیں گے، اور جب تک وہ لوگ محفل سے رخصت نہیں ہو جائیں گے، ان کے گناہوں کی بخشش کے لیے دعا کرتے رہیں گے۔ اس پر علی علیہ السلام نے کہا، خدا کی قسم، ہم اس وقت کامیاب ہو گئے۔ پھر رسول خدا صلی اللہ علیہ وآلہ وسلم نے فرمایا، اے علی، اس ذات کی قسم جس نے مجھے سچا نبی بنایا اور لوگوں کی نجات کی خاطر رسالت کے لیے منتخب کیا، اہل زمین کی جس محفل میں بھی ہماری یہ حدیث بیان کی جائے گی کہ جس میں ہمارے شیعان علی اور دوست اکٹھے ہوں گے، اس محفل میں جو کوئی دکھی ہوگا خدا اس کا دکھ دور کرے گا، جو غمزدہ ہوگا اس کو غم سے چھٹکارا دے گا، اور جو کوئی حاجت مند ہوگا خدا اس کی حاجت پوری کرے گا۔ پھر علی علیہ السلام نے فرمایا، بخدا، ہم نے اس وقت کامیابی اور برکت پائی، اور کعبے کے رب کی قسم، اسی طرح ہمارے شیعان علی بھی کامیاب ہوئے اور دنیا و آخرت میں خوش نصیب ٹھہرے۔ اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد۔
اعوذ باللہ صلوات۔ اعوذ باللہ السمیع العلیم من الشیطان الرجیم، بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم۔ أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والقانتين والقانتات والصادقين والصادقات والصابرين والصابرات والخاشعين والخاشعات والمتصدقين والمتصدقات والصائمين والصائمات والحافظين فروجهم والحافظات والذاكرين الله كثيرا والذاكرات أعد الله لهم مغفرة وأجرا عظيما صدق الله مولانا العظيم الله صل على محمد وآله. It is a magnificent tribute to the glory and the greatness, the completeness and the mastery and the majestic beauty of the Quran that it contains a verse like this. This is chapter 33, Surah Ahzab, verse number 35. It is an almost democratic gender equivalence of spirituality, a way in which, in the words of Allah, men and women are equal at every level that matters. All the others, as we shall see inshallah, all the other dimensions of men and women in relationship to the divine are social, psychological, biological. In the one dimension that matters, they are both equal. I will offer a rough translation of this, but I invite all of us today to reflect on this in our own time, in patience, in time. Chapter 33, verse 35. In the name of Allah, the merciful Lord of mercy, verily, surely, submitting men and submitting women. We have done a whole session on submission there, right there. Believing men and believing women, devout men and devout women, truthful men and truthful women, patient men and patient women, and humble men and humble women, and charitable men and charitable women, mutasaddiqeen, sadqa dene wale, wassaimin, fasting men, men who fast and women who fast, and men who guard their private parts and women who do so, and men who remember Allah much and women who do so. Allah has promised forgiveness for all of them and a generous reward. Over these previous evenings, we have been taking a deep look at spirituality in everyday life. And we have been looking at 7 doors to spirituality. And we looked at submission on the first day. We looked at Ukhuwah the second day. We looked at patience. And from there, we translated that as patience, discipline. Patience is a discipline of hope. Then, yesterday, we looked at knowledge and remembrance. And we consider these two also as doors to an anchorage and a depth to our daily lives. Today, inshallah, we will look at community fellowship. Obviously, community and fellowship, by definition, involves the human family, and therefore men and women, and therefore this magnificent verse with which we began. I began this note also. I took a lot of time to read sacred scriptures belonging to other traditions and look for a parallel sentence or reference in any of the other scriptures held by their believers to be sacred. They are valuable to us, not the issue. So therefore, the present Old Testament, the present New Testament, the Indian scriptures, the Hindus, the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, others, the Zendavesta of the Persians, the Parsis. I looked at all of them. It took me quite a while, about 8 years, to go through all that, to find at any place where a sentence of this magnificent equivalence of men and women in spiritual stature was to be found. And I found nowhere except in this, in the Quran, nowhere else was this generous, inclusive depiction. So, to pull together the themes that we have been doing, there is one theme that will be my transition to our subject for today. And it is, I said just now that patience is the discipline of hope. In passing, 2 days ago, I shared with you a new word, not yet in the dictionaries, but it will. Hopium, the evil twin of hope. It is all very well to have hope for the future. That's positive. But then there is this hopium. And I gave one feature of it. I've got the scholarship here, which which I'll share with you. Hopium has 3 features. Number one, this is people are guilty of hopium when they have a comforting vision of the future that requires breaking the laws of physics, biology, or ecology. When you know for sure that you have overshot the limits of what this planet can sustainably grow. We will be talking a lot about collapse. When people keep thinking that we can maintain our lifestyles, no matter how much deforestation, destruction, deviation, no matter how much genocide, ecocide we cause, we will continue doing this until, as one senator, US senator put it, until the lights go out on our party. We will not restrain ourselves from misbehaving. We will just continue until the lights go out, until the collapse comes. One meaning. Second, an addiction to false hopes. That is impossible to realize hopes. When we have these insane ideas of utopias, when the vision we give to the future of our children is the same unsustainable exploitation of the planet, and yet we think that, oh yes, we will, that kind of unsustainable, irrational vision of hope. And a third, the irrational and unwarranted optimism that promises short-term relief but delivers crushing disappointment and despair when reality inevitably waits. So we can have short-term measures, a very simple thing We all know that the straw that breaks the camel's back, we all know that it does. We can keep on loading the camel until we do actually make the camel unfit. There is a point when overspending will lead us into huge debt. There is a point when we will have impossible to return debts. There is a limit to how much other people can support. It is to continue having a hopeful demeanor despite the obvious facts that you are running on empty. You are running on false hopes. This is opium. Without this is hope. And this brings me to my theme for today. Ladies and gentlemen, and all well wishers, Islamic philosophy has offered an incredible vision of clarity, long time, and today we will be putting it into some practical use as a tool. As I mark this transition, Salawat. हमारे दीगर नारे सब Islamic philosophical masters have, from the earliest days, from a few poems recited by Mullah Kainat himself, and perhaps nothing better than to begin from there. The Imam Ali alayhi salam to his son recited these couplets. I'm offering the English translation. He said, "The disease that you have is in you, and so is the cure. The cure is within you, the problem, physical problem, ailment is within you. But you do not see it. The ailment you feel in the cure is within you, but you do not see it. You think that your physical body is just, you think that your physical body is a small thing, but it is not. An entire universe is wrapped up in it. An entire universe is wrapped up. This is the line. From there, we get the word Alam-e-Kabir and Alam-e-Saghir. From there, those who have been following the study of the Quran over the years under our gatherings, the microcosm and the microcosm. The microcosm is the universe made small. The macrocosm is the human being, our inward universe on a large scale outside. Masters say that there is an exact correspondence between the realities of the outward world and the realities of the inward world. And so, therefore, the Alam-e Kabir and the Alam-e Saghir, the big universe out there, reflects the inward universe within each one of us. This microcosm, macrocosm tool is a central tool to understand the human significance. If you take this linchpin out of it, it turns out that human life is an accident, as indeed many people think so, that it is a freak accident of a chemical reaction that happened over several billion years ago, and it is purely an accident of nature. And if a couple of 100 million thousand human beings pass away, what difference it doesn't matter. That kind of, shall I say, insignificance of human life is not tenable. In the spiritual universe of all traditions, it is in human life is work, is a complete universe. So, to expand on this metaphor, we will benefit from the collapse literature. We live at a time of huge and total collapse. And this outward collapse of the universe signifies some major breakdowns within. It will be my effort to share with you some of this. And I assure you, with regret, some of this is very, extremely painful, and it will make us very morose and quite depressed. But the point is, uh, no cure is possible if you're not willing to hear the diagnosis. कोई इलाज मुमकिन नहीं अगर तशखीस सुनने का हौसला नहीं. तो हमें अगर कि ये हालात आ गए हैं तो we have to take it and we have to say it with robust honesty that there is something planetarily wrong. There is something gone awry and we need to accept it. Only then will we be able to turn it around. Though even there people say that we've missed that point as well. Okay. So the collapse. In a book called Pedagogies of Collapse, there are scholars who are already saying that we should teach our children how to cope with the post-collapse world. It is not that the collapse is going to happen. It has already happened. And we need to recognize the immense that the planet is paying for it. Just a few keywords which will allow us to recognize. First, the collapse has almost a planetary and a global reach. So no country's borders now matter. And we know this. Pakistan contributes very little to the carbon emissions, yet the the loss, the glaciers melting and the waters coming and the flash floods that are going to happen in our part of the world due to the carbon emissions elsewhere. It is now global. I'll just do this. So there are details. Just do this brief. Secondly, and there's a more serious, biodiversity collapse. It is incredible that the number of species of creatures who have every right to survive on this planet are being destroyed due to human effort, due to human callousness. Our carbon emissions and the poisons and the other kinds of chemicals that we put into the water, the rivers, the land, we have created a situation where creatures and the numbers of species permanently, we're just losing them permanently. And somehow we don't seem to we think that's collateral damage. We think, हाँ ठीक है ना अगर इंसान ने जीना है तो बस ठीक है if a couple of other creatures pass away, but we will learn to our regret it is not that simple. Climate collapse. And I need to mention that summer seems to keep coming earlier and earlier in Karachi. It is already, we've already felt the high temperatures in May. Be prepared. Climate change. We'll just comment that. Next, chemical pollution. The ways by which our oceans, the ways by which oceans are now unable to manage the diversity of fish and the amount of destruction that is happening there. And well, people are saying, well, there's only one thing, just switch off to stop. But somehow those industries cater to some of our luxuries, which cater to some of our symbols of success, which cater to some strange kind of vanity and egotism. And therefore, this circle, this chemical pollution does not seem to. Connected to that is ocean collapse. Connected to that is wilderness collapse. We seem to be losing species of animals, proud and magnificent creatures, the tigers, the lions, the panthers, the elephants, various species, we seem to be losing them completely because we have destroyed their habitats. In this urbanization rush to have concrete jungles and to provide homes for everyone. Air quality collapse. I have a friend, someone present here, who narrated to me that being in Kathmandu was a different experience, and coming back to Karachi was an instant signature of illness. The carbon, the air just hits. So it is only when you have been in clean air, northern areas, that you recognize the air pollution that we take for granted. There are limits. After that, the consequences will come. The biosphere collapse, the ozone layer, and the various other things. Once upon a time, we used to worry about that, but the pandemic paid put to. And finally, the socio-economic collapse, the collapse of our relationships and the collapse of our family and our structures, ways by which the human bonding that makes us human itself seems to be put under question. All these are the outward signs of collapse. Each one of them outward corresponds to something inward. Salawat. You might be wondering, my God, what are we, how have we launched ourselves into this conversation? But then, um, from the Jataka tales of Lord Buddha comes this strange story. In a village where fire was burning the homes, one person, the homes were burning all around him. One particular person happened to be shielded by the breeze, that the flames weren't going into his house for those few minutes. And Lord Buddha said he was standing in the veranda looking at the homes left and right, all burning. And somebody asked him, "How's your home?" He says, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm okay." We are like that. We are like that middle hole, whereas just a kick of the breeze and the breeze is going to take us all. So it is not fitting that we not talk about the fire around us just because we happen to be at a particular corner of the planet where the breeze is blowing some other way. It will soon blow in our side. So, so what does all this portend, all this outward collapse portend? I've said just now, Alam Kabir, Alam Saghir, the universe outside reflects the universe inside. Truly, something inside us is also very seriously. First of all, let us notice our sensory, the spectrum of our sensory experience. We notice that more and more scholars, more and more thinkers are now telling us that our humanity seems to be located in the brain. Somehow only the brain matters. Somehow, as human beings, we are, our bodies, hands, feet, liver, others, all the other things seem to be attachments to the brain. The thing to do is to keep the brain sane. The thing to do is to be able to manage an objective, universal point of view. And other than that, yes, if your bodily sickness and other things are there, we will take you to the hospital. But once again, it is the brain of the doctor that actually cures you. So actually, everything comes down to the brain, not the soul, not the mind, the heart. And then, because this cycle is, as we can see, all the other collapses on the outer world turn to a collapse inside. If my humanity is located only in the brain, it is a one short step to go from there to then cut down to the enzymes that flood my brain. So now people tell me, oh, it isn't even your brain, it's the dopamine. It's the hit you get from the doom scrolling and the likes that you get, that make you feel those bubbles. So now it isn't even me. It is not even me getting a response. It is the chatbot and the algorithm deciding the impact on my brain. Okay, so now it is not even that, it is oxytocin, the love enzyme. So now, talk about the reduction of humanity and talk about the destruction, and you see them in an exact mirror position that, far from saying, as the Quran does, Surah Maida, chapter 5, whosoever takes a life is as one who kills all humanity, and whosoever saves a life is one as one who has saved all humanity. Each one individual one of us is equal to, in value, to the rest of us. From that point of view, look at the incredible reduction we have to oxytocin and dopamine. And now we need to have detox from those. MashaAllah, truly, truly we have come great forward. Salawat. So, uh, by way of quick recap, in order to bring this conversation to some kind of takeaway, the Nobel Prize winning biologist Jacques Monod has said, early 40s, 50s, that every generation people should ask, what is it that makes man man? What is it that makes man man? What is it that makes us human? Every generation should ask this question to itself. And Jacques Monod, a Nobel Prize winning biologist, has said that every 25 years, each generation should ask, what is for us our threshold of humanity? What is it that makes us human? And sadly, our generation's answers does not seem to be anything that involves memory, that involves an investment into values. That's something that teaches us a long-term belonging, loyalty, a way by which we are able to say, here I stand, I can do no other. Famous sentence. Convictions, such things don't seem to matter. All that matters are the gloss and glimmer of moments that come and go, and therefore nothing adds up, nothing builds up, and therefore no tradition, and therefore no tradition of values. So, what is it that makes man man? Seems to be answered. We don't really know because we can't hold the question in our mind long enough to be able to formulate an answer. Because we don't think in stories, you see, we think in sentences. Sentences are random, unconnected, and therefore we only think, and perhaps not even sentences, just individual words. And that's the kind of reduction where we have brought ourselves to our humanity. So, so this gives me the cue to our fullness of humanity. And that fullness of humanity now is my cue to understanding what is it. We began our discussion today with men and women and the spiritual calibration of goodness and good deeds that make a spiritual relationship for which we deserve hope to Ajrun Azim, a generous wage, a generous return. This manhood and womanhood is something we need to understand more deeply. My teachers tell me that masculinity and femininity are present in each individual, regardless of our biological masculinity and femininity. Please bear with me, this thought is interesting, which will be our transition to the noble women we wish to remember. किसी भी बाप की का असर जो अपने बच्चों पर है, वो उसमें तो है कि बाप की तरफ से एक सख्त नजर है, बाप की तरफ से बस एक आवाज है और एक डिसिप्लिन है। लेकिन अगर शफकत नहीं वक्त पर, अगर नरमी नहीं वक्त पर, तो वो फिर बात नहीं है, वो मर्द वाली बात नहीं है, इट्स टॉक्सिक। फिर एक टाइप, एक टिरनी, एक एक एंगर, एक जल्लाद वाली बात है, ऑफ। सो true masculinity means that one has internalized a feminine softness at the right time. Now, the same goes for women. No mother, however much loving and doting she is, if she cannot be strict at the right time, if she cannot say no at the right time, she is not a good mother at all. In fact, in the literature on parenting, you often find that the word mother has an S prior to it. It's mother. The mother has mothered, pampered the child so much that now the child is lost. So we know pampering, yes, love and love, pyar, yes. But at the right time, when the child goes, crosses a line, and the mother is able to say, nothing doing. If she's not able to say this, if she's not able to be firm, that's her masculine side. She's not a good mother. I hope I've been able to bring you to this balance. The proper parenting involves a balance of masculinity and femininity in both the parents. So it will be a way by which, let's pause on this, because these are themes which, they open up entire subjects for us to, a lot of thought there. Consider the toxic masculinity of some scholars, Muslim scholars, Islamic scholars, who pass judgments which are extremely misogynistic. For them, all evil seems to come from women. For them, the woman on a motorcycle is a threat to Islam. I mean, if you talk to them, they say, yeah. There are people who study these things and they said, and here is something I'm saying with full authority because I have chapter and verse on this. It is interesting that if you were to look up the biographies of some of these extremely die-hard misogynistic scholars, Islamic scholars, in commas, you would find their childhood was bereft of woman. They were orphans. They were handed over to a male madrasa. They never had a sister, a mother, someone to look after them when they were young. They were totally, there's something wrong with them. There's something missing. एक मोरह गायब है उसमें, in their humanity, in that. And that is how 30 years later, 40 years later, they spout such filth and they read the religion with such sick masculinity that you then realize, as somehow Hazrat Ibn Arabi somehow captures it, if you make me a model of society, you will only show me a model of yourself. What you are telling me about the way society is actually you're telling me about the way you are. And that is exactly how some of these things fit into our culture. Anything more than that, I will have to start taking names, so I will pause there. So, but we now understand how serious it is. Toxic masculinity parading as Islamic scholarship can do enormous harm. It can turn off people. Big subject. So, in this today's gathering, I would be remembering fellowship community, and all fellowship in community is connected to women. One of the key, one of the opening words of the fifth para, all the 30 paras of the Quran have a kind of a signature. That word, wal muhsinat, is a very good word. It's a feminine gender word of the women who are fortresses, the women who keep the fortress. And my teacher explained this, that actually, and I always marvel this in women's conversations when they talk about relationships. भाई तुम्हें वो फलां से मुलाकात है ना, वो असल में है ना, वो फलां साहब जो थे ना, वो फलां के वो उसके मामू, तो उसके मामू के भाई के वो जो है ना, उसके वो बेटे. And you look at the men and their faces and they are lost. For men to remember two generations of their own children is a struggle. I admit, myself. It is the women who keep the society knotted together in webs of relationships. It is the women who remember all the relationships and hold the bonding. It's a web. And in that web, it is the memory of women and their roles that keeps them there. And so, therefore, I turn to three great women, Sayyida Khadijatul Kubra, Sayyida Fatimatul Zahra, and Sayyida Zainab. The granddaughter, the grandma, the daughter, and her daughter, who will be our, for a few minutes, our reflection today. Salawat. Of what we know about Sayyida Khadija, I was extremely touched when, as one of the sessions, some feedback I received was that it seems Sayyida Khadija doesn't get her space. Doesn't have, it's not that she doesn't deserve that space, it's just that somehow we don't have the time to talk about her grandeur and her greatness. Truly, truly, a remarkable woman. And since my theme is masculinity, femininity, notice here is Sayyida Khadija, and what is she best known for? Being a businesswoman. There we go. There we go. She is someone who is astute. She manages. She is an excellent reader of people. She knows what kind of people to get into her caravan and what kind not. And Sayyida Khadija's major role as a supporter and wife and the companion of the Prophet during his most difficult time is her femininity. But what is it that keeps her in balance? Her masculinity, her masculine role in it, her understanding of the way the world works. And to my mind, our Behreen, our best Hiraj can go in understanding that balance and that role modeling that Sayyida Khadija has done for us. Salam. We come to Sayyida Fatimatu Zahra, and our immediate kind of nuance with her name is of fragility, is of softness, shyness, introversion. Somebody who's not given to public speaking. In one of our previous talks, we said somebody had raised this issue. How is it that Sayyida Fatimatu Zahra is not a reporter of hadith? She lived in the same house. We should have had so many hadith. Why don't we have Sayyida Fatima being a ravi of the events of the or the words of the Prophet? And a very powerful way of understanding is, you see, what is hadith? The technical meaning of the hadith. It is the call, fail, and qrar rasul. Qrar here is with the kaf, the silence. It is the speech of the Prophet, the deeds of the Prophet, what he said, what he did, and what he kept quiet about. Meaning, if he saw somebody do something and didn't say anything for it, we assume that that is allowed. Because had it not been allowed, he would have said it. And he did. That thing was not allowed. But if it was something about which he was silent, then we say, okay, this is something, if you choose to do, fine. If you don't choose to do, fine. It's in that scale of choice. So, Qawle Rasul, Fele Rasul, Takrar Rasul. That is Hadith. So we have the waris of the Hadith. So those who took his language, those who took his words They became the muhaddiseen, thus companions who narrated. Those who followed his deeds, as so many did, his sunnah, they became the companions who followed his mode of living. So many did. Only Sayyidah Fatima inherited his silence. She was the waris of his. It was not her business to recite hadith. That she gave to her noble husband. That she gave to Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. That was Madinatul Ilm. Wabi Madinatul Ilm. That was his business. सैयदा फातिमा तो जहरा का तो काम नबी करीम की खामोशी की विरासत लेना था. That is one of the nuances we get from her life. And yet, after the Prophet, she does one manly thing. The only manly thing, there are others, I'm sure, but not the the decision to go to the court, to go to the first caliph and say that I need to talk to you about Fadl. Now, that going to the court and that going to is a highly manly decision, and Sayyida's incredible masculine feminine balance comes out in that moment. You understand immediately the details. Salawat. There's a big controversy about Fadak and what happened, and not the time for getting into the legalistic of it. But just very briefly, a comment that Sayyidah Fatima made when she visited the first caliph, Hazrat Abu Bakr, and said, how is it, Abu Bakr, that your children will inherit? Your children, sons, daughters, they will inherit from you. But the Prophet of God, children cannot inherit from him. One logical question. How is it? And from there comes a whole polemic there, not the time for details. Sayyidah Fatima at least made that stand, made that decision, the manly decision, with, of course, the women of the Banu Hashim. There's a very fine moment there. So, and finally, we come to Sayyidah Zainab. What she was as a sister to Imam Hussain, everyone knows. What she was throughout the travails of Karbala, everyone knows. It is incredible that she is the only witness to the passing of all five of the Panjatan Pak. She must have been very little when Rasulullah passed, when Sayyidah Fatima passed 6 months later. Then she saw Maulai Kainat pass, her father. Then she saw Imam Hassan. And then, of course. So here is a witness to the passing of all five of the Panjatan Pak. Not something that one would wish. It's a very odd way of putting it. But look at her incredible command. When she speaks on the streets of Kufa after Karbala on the journey, and when she goes to Sham and speaks in the court of Yazid, what words do we hear as commentary? People say, oh, this is Ali's language. ये तो इमाम अली के अल्फाज में हमने एक बार फिर वो जलाल देखा. There, masculinity, femininity in himself. Sayyidah Zainab is incredible for all the care and the energy that she spent in being a companion to her noble brother. That was her sisterhood. What she did in her speeches was extremely manly, so manly that people commented on her noble father. एक बात है जो सोचने की, which is quite interesting. When I sit with Najul Balagha, my Arabic is very, very poor, no comment at all. But when I sit with Najul Balagha with good translations and struggle through these words, I then consider, imagine the blessing of being in a home where this is the normal language spoken in the home. Surely that is how Imam Ali must have conversed. That is how the conversation must have been. And that then is a promise that if at all you go to Najaf And if at all you go to the home of Imam Ali, and if at all you go to the Masjid Kufa, and if you go to that environs and you pause there and you think, you imagine this was the atmosphere in this space where those words were spoken. Salam. I am giving you a way of thinking about this cosmic inward outward. In the words of a recent scholar, one way of dealing, one way of dealing with this cosmic collapse, one obvious way of dealing is denial. To say some child. That of course is not a mature response. But one powerful tool that is emerging from this is not to consider the whole of the universe in yourself. That metaphor is a very huge one. Something more humble, something more basic. And I would like to share that with you. Take that as a moment before I move to the last part of today. The macrocosm. The masters have said that the light of reason within us is like sunlight. The light of emotions within us is like moonlight. Our blood streams is like the rivers. Our hair on our skin is like trees. They have worked out the correspondence of each dimension within to a dimension outside. Now that makes us belong to all of nature and a big subject. But a modern 21st century tool that allows us to deal with our humanity and this collapse is a metaphor of a bus. Imagine that there is a bus within each one of us. We are all a bus. And if you think about it, a bus has a driver, and a bus has passengers. And some passengers are very loud. Some passengers are in the middle of the bus. They only speak up at odd times, otherwise, they keep quiet. Some passengers are at the back of the bus, sometimes not even visible, but sometimes visible. What are these passengers? These passengers are the clusters of memory that we carry along with us that decide on our behalf every choice we make. Subtle thing. Be with me. Let us benefit from the exact language of the scholar who has given this to us. Here it is. The bus has a driver and many passengers who embody what has marked one's lifetime. Childhood events, unprocessed traumas, significant others. I have found myself sometimes doing things because of a voice in the head of a person I admired that made me choose that. Whereas I can go critical and say, but maybe that person didn't mean that. Why are you applying that over here? That is, and somehow we seem to be uncritically doing things. The bus. The bus means we are not singular at all, we are plural. The bus means there isn't just one me, Abbas, the person in control, the rational, sane, the person who's figured it all out, the person who is not unsure of anything, the person who's sure of everything. Bus metaphor allows me to recognize there are parts of me which are ambiguous, parts of me which are unknown to me, parts of me which are confused. And to accept all that as part of my being is to be an authentic being. The bus metaphor is a remarkable way of recognizing I don't have to be clear all the time. I don't have to be rational all the time or in control all the time. I don't need to have this mask of grandeur and grace on me all the time. I too can be confused and mixed up. And when I accept that within me, I'm able to accept that in you. And only when I'm able to do this, am I able to take all of us together forward on this journey out of this collapse? I like this one sentence. The basic premise of this methodology is that if we cannot hold space for the complexities within us, there is no chance for us to hold space for the complexities around us. A very good definition of friendship I came upon recently is, my friend, I am a friend to the degree that I can hold my friend's complexities in my mind. Truly, that is a very graceful thing to do. Salawat. Let's pause on this for a moment. My friendship is a measure of how much complexity of my friend I'm able to hold in me. So true. So true. When putting it very basic, Anita Ghulam Ali is a very well-known name, no more amongst us, but very well known. She was being introduced in a seminar, and the gentleman read out a detailed biodata point by point. Anita Ghulam Ali had already been Minister of Education in the province of Sindh, and it was one of her post-ministerial moments. He could have said, Anita Ghulam Ali is ex-Minister of Education. Ladies and gentlemen, who doesn't know? No? But he told us all of her academic achievements, and many of us just marveled. We didn't know. My point is that one of the graceful things we can do is to take the trouble to memorize our chief guest's details and to be able to hold them in the mind and then to be able to say them properly. That is giving true honor. Complexity. We, in an age of collapse, are unable to hold complexity, but if I'm able to recognize that I too am contradictory, I too, Walt Whitman put it very well. Do I contradict myself? Of course I contradict myself. I'm large. I contain multitudes. And so do we all. When I'm able to do this, I'm able to understand that the other person too has complexity. And that person too has ambiguity, unresolved traumas, childhood memories, wonder what. And therefore, with compassion and grace, I'm able to look at other people in humanity and then accept them as they are, not wanting them to be as I want them to be, Mazallah, but accepting them as they are. And only when I'm able to do this, am I able to take them along on this journey of this short journey that we have of our lives together. Salam. The family. All families immediately make us remember the most tender and the most helpless of the family. You know immediately who we are going to talk about. And therefore, in the family, and as I have mentioned, motherhood. And so, therefore, it will be interesting to see how this account balances and how this martyr balances Imam Husain's incredible resolve, balances the mother's incredible pain. In that, our honor and our tears. I'll be benefiting from Zikr practice. सर का वक्त करीब आया. मेरा हुसैन खैमे से बाहर आया पर नजर आया यमीनन व शिमालन. दाहिनी जानिब देखा, बाएं जानिब देखा, आवाज दी, اے حبیب ابن مظاہر، اے مسلم بن سجا، اے ہانی، کہاں؟ آؤ میری مدد کو آؤ۔ تاریخ کہتی ہے کہ کئی حلقوں سے آوازیں آ رہی ہیں، مولا موت آ گئی ہے، ہم آئیں تو کیسے آئیں؟ یہ آواز ختم ہوئی تھی کہ حسین کی آواز آ رہی تھی، کون ہے جو حسین کے کاز میں مدد کرے؟ کون ہے جو حسین کی آواز پر لبیک کہے، جو حسین کے مسلک پہ چلے؟ ہے کوئی مدد کرنے والا؟ جب کوئی جواب نہیں آیا، خیمے میں رونے کی آوازیں بلند ہوئی۔ حسین خیمگاہ کی طرف پلٹے، آہستہ سے آواز دی، زینب، ابھی میں زندہ ہوں، تم کیوں رو رہی ہو؟ زینب نے کہا، آپ کی آواز استغاثہ کو سن کر علی اصغر نے خود کو جھولے سے گرا دیا۔ حسین نے کہا، لاؤ اس بچے کو، شاید اس سے ان بے رحموں کے دلوں میں رحم آئے، ان کو میں پانی پلا رہا ہوں۔ باپ نے بچے کا لباس تبدیل کیا، دھڑکتے ہوئے دل سے حسین کے حوالے کیا اور ایک جملہ کہا، والی، دھوپ بہت زیادہ ہے، سایہ کی کر لیجیے۔ حسین بچے کو لیے ہوئے ابا کا سایہ کیے ہوئے بلند مقام پر پہنچتے ہیں۔ جب جنگ ہوئی تو بعض ویپنز ضرورت کے مطابق استعمال کیے جاتے ہیں، جو سب سے قوی اسلحہ ہوتا ہے وہ آخر میں استعمال کیا جاتا ہے۔ امام حسین کے پاس یقیناً چھوٹی فوج تھی، لیکن تین اہم اسلحے تھے۔ ایک کا نام ہے عباس، دوسرے کا نام علی اکبر، تیسرے کا نام ہے علی اصغر۔ عباس کون ہے؟ ہو بہو شبیہ ہے علی۔ علی اکبر کون ہے؟ ہو بہو شبیہ ہے رسول۔ علی اصغر کون تھے؟ عباس کو بھیج کر حسین نے ثابت کیا کہ یہ لوگ جو چوتھے خلیفہ کو نہیں جانتے تھے، جن کے شانوں کو انہوں نے قلم کر دیا۔ حسین نے دوسرا اسلحہ پیش کیا، اس کا نام ہے علی اکبر۔ علی اکبر شبیہ رسول تھے، اگر یہ مسلمان ہوتے تو کبھی علی اکبر پر حملہ نہ کرتے۔ ہم شبیہ علم کا اتنا احترام کرتے ہیں، لیکن جو رفتار و کردار اور شکل و صورت میں رسول سے مشابہ تھا، اس کے ساتھ فوج یزید نے کیا عمل کیا؟ حسین نے ثابت کیا اور مورخ نے کہا کہ لکھو، فوج یزید میں کوئی محمد کو ماننے والا نہیں۔ اب حسین ثابت کرنا چاہ رہے تھے کہ آیا یہ لوگ انسان بھی ہیں کہ نہیں۔ ایک مرتبہ ننھے سے بچے کو مقتل میں لائے، کل آپ ایک دوسرے کو سلام نہیں کریں گے بلکہ کہیں گے کہ ہمارا اور تمہارا اجر حسین کے غم میں اللہ زیادہ کرے۔ تمہیں معلوم ہے علی اکبر شہید ہو گئے، تمہیں معلوم ہے علی اکبر شہید ہو گئے، تمہیں معلوم ہے حسین مظلوم شہید ہو گئے۔ جب آپس میں کسی کی میت پر رشتہ دار ملتے ہیں تو کیا کہتے ہیں؟ ہائے ہمارے بابا۔ اسی طرح ہمیں ملنے ہوئے ملتے ہوئے کہنا چاہیے، ہائے ہمارا حسین۔ بچے کو لائے، ادھر سمجھا جا رہا تھا کہ حسین قرآن لا رہے ہیں۔ حسین نے ابا کو ہٹایا اور کہا، یہ بچہ ہے اور پیاسا ہے، اس کی ماں کا دودھ بھی خشک ہو چکا ہے، اسے پانی پلا دو۔ بچے کے نام سے کافر بھی لرز جاتا، کفار بھی پانی دیتے ہیں، مگر وہاں سے کسی نے جواب نہ دیا۔ حسین نے جلتی ریت پر بچے کو لٹا دیا۔ اگر تم سمجھتے ہو کہ اس بہانے سے میں پانی پی لوں گا تو تم خود آ کر بچے کو پانی پلا دو۔ کوئی نہیں آیا۔ حسین نے بچے کو گود میں لیا، کہا، اے میرے فرزند، تم اپنی حجت پوری کرو۔ بچے نے سوکھی زبان ہونٹوں پر پھیری۔ ایک مرتبہ مقتل میں تلاطم ہوا، یزید کی فوج میں سر کو پٹک پٹک کر رو رہی ہیں۔ عمر سعد نے دیکھا کہ کہیں ناریوں کو حسین نے جھنجھوڑ دیا ہے۔ علی اصغر نے ایسی جنگ لڑی ہے کہ ساری انسانیت لرز رہی ہے۔ دیکھا کہ انقلاب آیا چاہتا ہے۔ حسین نے اپنا قوی ترین اسلحہ استعمال کیا، آواز دی، حرملہ تا کلام الحسین، اے حرملہ حسین کے کلام. تاریخ کہتی ہے حرملہ نے کمان میں تیر لیا، ہاتھ کانپنے لگے، دوسری مرتبہ کمان میں تیر لیا، ہاتھ کانپنے لگے. کسی نے پوچھا کیوں کانپ؟ اب تمہیں نہیں معلوم، جب بھی میں اس کا نشانہ باندھتا ہوں رسول اللہ اپنا گلا پیش کرتے تھے. مقاتل لکھتے ہیں کہ سب سے قوی تیر انداز حرملہ تھا، اور جب تیر چھوڑنا تھا وہ 7 دیواروں کو چیرتا ہوا گزر جاتا تھا. چھوٹے بچے کے لیے اتنا ہی قوی تیر انداز، اب سمجھے علی اصغر کتنے قوی. تاریخ کہتی ہے ادھر سے تیر چلا، علی اصغر کا گلا چھدا، حسین کا بازو چھدا. حسین نے خون چلو میں لیا، چاہتے تھے کہ زمین پر ڈالیں. آواز آئی حسین اگر اسے زمین پر ڈالو گے تو قیامت تک ایک دانہ نہیں اگے. حسین چاہتے تھے آسمان پر پھینک دیں. آواز آئی حسین اگر یہ خون آیا تو قیامت تک رحمت نہیں برسے گی. انکار آسمان کو ہے، راضی زمین نہیں. اصغر تمہارے خون کا ٹھکانا. حسین نے خون چہرے پر مل دیا، مدینہ کا رخ کیا. نانا اسی حالت میں آ رہا ہوں. آج کی رات حسین پر رونے کی رات ہے، فاطمہ کو پرسہ دینے کی رات. حسین کے ہاتھ میں ننھا بچہ. اب سوچ رہے ہیں کہ ماں کے پاس کیسے جاؤں، اسے ماں کے پاس لے جاؤں یا دفن کروں. کل اعمال عاشورہ میں ایک مقام پر آپ 7 مرتبہ آگے بڑھتے، 7 مرتبہ پیچھے. انا للہ و انا الیہ راجعون. یہ کیا ہے؟ جب حسین ننھے بچے کی لاش لیے ہوئے آگے بڑھتے، کہتے جاتے تھے علی اکبر کی شہادت پر شیعوں کو یاد نہیں کیا، عباس کی شہادت پر شیعوں کو یاد نہیں کیا، لیکن ننھے علی اصغر کی شہادت پر ان کو یاد کیا. ایک روایت میں ہے کہ تلوار سے قبر کھودی اور ننھے علی اصغر کو دفن کیا. تاریخ کہتی ہے خیمہ گاہ کے قریب حسین پہنچے، رباب کو نہیں پکارا، آہستہ سے کہا بہن زینب، کیونکہ رباب انتظار کر رہی تھی. ڈرتی ہوئی آئیں، میرے والد میرے بچے نے پانی پی لیا. نگاہ حسین کے چہرے پر پڑی، سن کر کہا. حسین نے کچھ نہیں کہا، ابا کا دامن ہٹایا، ماں سے کہا میں تجھ سے کیا کہوں، بچہ پانی نہ پی سکا.
روانہ نہر لبن کو جو شیر خوار ہوا، روانہ نہر لبن کو جو شیر خوار ہوا، زباں دکھانے پہ گردن سے تیر پار ہوا، لڑک کے ہاتھوں پہ حضرت کے ہم کے نار ہوا، خزاں ہوا جو وہ گل تو گلے کا ہار ہوا، ادھر تو شاہ کو یہ صدمہ جگر پہنچا، ادھر مدینے سے صغرا کا نام بر پہنچا، لہو میں غرق کھڑے تھے کمر جھکائے ہوئے، پہ سر کی ننھی سی میت گلے لگائے ہوئے، لہو بھرا ہوا دامن اسے اڑھائے ہوئے، کفن کی فکر میں خیمے کو منہ پھیرائے ہوئے، یہ حال دیکھ کے قاصد کی آس ٹوٹ گئی، ہوا یہ راشا کے فوراً مہار چھوٹ گئی، اتر کے ناقے سے آداب وہ بجا لایا، مگر حسین تھے بے ہوش کچھ نہ فرمایا، وہ نوحہ کہتا ہوا اور متصل آیا، نگاہ یاس سے منہ دیکھ کر یہ چلایا، قرار دو مجھے میں بے قرار ہوتا ہوں، حسین جان کے تم پر نثار ہوتا ہوں، کہو بقیہ اولاد مرتضی تم، امیر لشکر اللہ ہو مصطفیٰ ہو تم، غریب کوفہ ہو مظلوم کربلا ہو تم، بتاؤ قاسم ناشاد کے چچا ہو تم، جواب دو پدری نامرد ہو، جناب حضرت عباس کے برادر ہو، بہن ہے آپ کی زینب سکینہ دختر ہے، ہرا بلا آپ کے لشکر کا حر صفدر ہے، وطن میں بیٹی بھی کوئی علیل و ششدر ہے، حضور کا کوئی ننھا سا لال اصغر ہے، سہیر اور حبیب آپ کے مصاحب ہیں، جناب محمد کے ماموں صاحب ہیں، حسین بھر کے غم سرد بولے ہے غم خار، امیر کون ہے میں تو ہوں بے کسو ناچار، کہاں ہے اکبر و قاسم کہاں علم بردار، خدا کے بندے تھے یہ سب ہوئے خدا پنسار، سپاہ ظلم نے تنہا سمجھ کے گھیرا ہے، ہزار تیرے ہیں اور ایک حلق میرا ہے، ہٹائی چہرے سے اصغر کے خون بھری چادر، پسینہ موت کا ماتھے سے پوچھا سر تاسر، پکارے مردے کی آنکھوں پر ہونٹوں کو رکھ کر، لکھی ہے فاطمہ نے دیدہ بوسیے صغر، گواہ رہیو کے خاکے سے جھولتا ہے حسین، और उनके भाई की आंखों को चूमता है हुसैन। बना लूं नन्ही सी कब्र की तसियर, तो ले चलूं पे सरे नौजवान के लाश पर। तू पढ़ी आशए अकबर पर नामए खाहर, ये कह के घोड़े से उतरे इमाम बशर। जमीन कब्र की खातिर पसंद करने लगे, मजाक खुद के नखले बुलंद करने लगे। लहू से हुस्न तो असगर को दे चुकी थी कज़ा, मली बसूरत काफूर शहने खा के शिफा। उतार कब्र में असगर का खून भरा आशा, लिटा के खाक पर किबले की समत मुंह फेरा। फिर अपने चांद को जब खाक में छुपाने लगे, तो यारी कहा और हाथ थर थराने लगे। रवाना नहर लबन को जो शीर खाट हुआ। One more time.
Tonight I dedicate this dua for our children, who are our future, not only of Pakistan, to the whole world. It's these children who have to inculcate all these values, everything that has been said over these nights, to anchor them in the rough seas that they are sailing. And God help from whom they love these duas from Sayyid Khan. O Allah, be kind to us through the survival of our children and allow us to enjoy them forever. O Allah, strengthen their religious dedication, heal their souls, their limbs, and make them pious, God-fearing, and insightful. Make them stubbornly resistant and full of hatred towards thy enemies. Make them loving and affectionate towards their parents and teach them to be upright and obedient, never disrespectful, and bless them with a long life, filled with health, good intentions, good deeds, and unwavering obedience to your messenger, Muhammad, peace be upon him. Please instill in them humility and all the right values that are fundamental in molding their character and personality, so their parents could be proud and help us, their parents, to guide them, educate them, inculcate in them from childhood what it means to submit to your will. Oh Allah, make them turn to you for mercy, protect them from the clutches of Satan, shower them with your bounties, bounties, keep them safe from your calamities that will test their faith in you. For those who yearn for a child, Ya Allah, please bless them with their unlimited joy. For those who are pregnant and have easy delivery and a beautiful, healthy child. Those who are ready for marriage, please find them a perfect spouse. Oh Allah, forgive our children's mistakes, for you are all forgiving. Your mercy is greater than their sins, and accept their good deeds, make them compassionate, and forgive us if we have not been there for them. I beseech you to grant them the highest level in paradise. Amen. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Let us offer Fatiha for all those whom we have admired, loved, learned from, respected. Let us also offer a Fatiha in the name of all those in pain, who are lost to war, to violence, to incredible suffering around the world. For those for whom there is no one to read Fatiha, let us offer Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا مولانا محمد بعدد ما في جميع القرآن حرفا بعدد كل حرف حرفا. O Allah, bless our Lord and Master Muhammad upon him be peace and his progeny in number as many times as the letters in the Quran, and on each letter 1,000 times. Lord, accept from us this effort to understand the world, the word, and the wisdom by which we are guided, and guide us the best of paths, and forgive us our errors and our lapses, our sins of omission and commission, that we may have in our understanding and in our grasp. O Lord, forgive us and cover us with your mercy ever and ever. Amen. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Just like to tell you, those who were with us a few days ago, we prayed for the health of this child, Neha, and I'm a strong believer in collective and it has worked. This child is much better, and the doctors still don't know what's wrong with her, but at least her cancer gone down. And I want you to pray for one very dear friend of mine who's in Sri Lanka. He's going to undergo major bypass on Sunday. He's got 8 blockages, and he's about 70. His name is Sunil, and please pray. The doctors have guided to perform this surgery well, and he recovers and doesn't have those top problems. Thank you.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا نبي الله. السلام عليك يا شفيع المسلمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى أم المؤمنين والمؤمنات. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى الحسين، خصوصا سيدي مولاي أبو الفضل العباس ابن أمير المؤمنين سقى يتيم أهل دشت كربلاء. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. مکائے غریبان مولا بے کسان بادشاہ خراسان زامنان یتیمان. السلام علیک یا مغیث الشیعة والزوان والسلطان ابو الحسن یا علی ابن موسیٰ والرضا ورحمت اللہ وبرکاتہ. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان والأمان الأمان من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وزبورك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد نعرہ تکبیر، نعرہ رسالت، نعرہ حیدری، سینیت